Hello, everyone. How's it going? Hope you can hear me. Sorry that that happened. It seemed like the stream disconnected for just a second and reconnected, and when that happens, for some reason it mutes the sound on Twitch. I know people could still hear me on YouTube, but people couldn't hear me on Twitch, so I had to restart the stream. Apologies for that, but we should be good from here on out. So if anything like that happens again, I'll just restart it again. We should be good. So we'll just keep going right where we were. Hydrate.
And that those others, you are separate from. You are not related. You're not related to the others. So that's the story that we're told, that we teach ourselves, is that we're separate from these others.
Are you talking about the fact that you are separate from other people? Like, we're related in the literal sense that we are, human beings and we're related, but like, we are separate beings with separate thoughts and feelings. We are individuals. Did this guy take drugs and feel a sense of oneness with others and decided that that was objective truth?
That there's not a unity of consciousness. It's not the same consciousness that's looking at itself.
It's not
in relation with itself.
It's not.
That we have these imaginary borders that exist, which say, these are our...
They are real borders. They are physical borders between my brain, where my mind exists, and other people's brains, where their minds exist. It is a quite literal physical barrier. They are separate. Trey says was going to post this before stream reset. I wonder if it's a psychological holdover from Vale. It's tens of thousands of years. I assume that was a typo. The human beings spent in clusters of a few thousand at most. In these groups, people would see the actual impact of their labor and be recognized for in the modern world, contribution to the most relevant and important aspects of life takes a mountain's worth of people in order to have any kind of impact. I've thought similarly, like, people feel like they have no agency. And, like, in large part, it's because life is run through these gigantic systems, and we're pieces within those systems, and that's a valid thing, but it doesn't feel right, We want a visceral feeling that we have, power over our environments, power over our lives, and when everything is systematized to the level that it is, well, it creates a ton of efficiencies, and it creates the ability to do things people can't do individually or even within communities. It alienates people from their own sense of personhood within their own environment. They end up feeling like a prop in, like, a world they can't affect. Like, I don't know how you parse that as a society in a healthy way.
Right? We have these imaginary borders or boundaries. And that's where a lot of this whole idea of, like, immoral or unethical, it really originates from this.
What?
So this is sort of the seed that then grows into that tree. Because if you...
Are you trying to say that individualism is the reason for all immorality amongst people?
If you believe in the lore, in the story, in the program, that we're separate from each other, that we're not a unified consciousness,
Oh boy.
that then you'll have more of a tendency to be willing to behave unethically and extract or be greedy or be corrupt or be selfish or manipulate or want more for yourself, and and pretend like you have no relation to those others, so that their lives don't matter, etc. So you see how that story, that lore spurs that whole, catastrophe in a way, which is really sort of the drama that consciousness wants to explore with itself, which we'll get to later. And this is really the
Threw war on there. That's good. Thanks.
origin, of all border wars,
Can't forget war.
of all religious conflicts, of all military industrial complexes, perverse incentives in the pharmaceutical industry or in the media and propaganda industry, or even
Just those industries, though. No other industries.
in the economic fabric of society.
Doesn't understand their problem is capitalism on the bingo card?
So this is the old model. This is lore. It's just lore. This is a story. This is a model, right? It's a metaphysic. It's your way of seeing from consciousness right now. Right now, your direct experience is consciousness. And then, okay, just checking that camera. And then from that direct experience of consciousness now is a metaphysic. It's a way of seeing, right? It's a model, a program, a script. So either you're going to be seeing from this old angle where, another way to say it is, you're really an entity in time, right? And this is basically suffering.
Entity in time equals suffering. Did you know if you put an equal sign between two concepts that you wish to relate, it makes you look way smarter than if you just said these things are related, because it looks like math, and math is really smart. Like this guy, Terrence Howard, he knows math real good, and he's the smartiest.
So as long as you believe...
Sorry to hear about that, KS. But you can hang around here, and things will be okay. I'm sure you'll find something new.
In the lore, or the model, that you're an entity in time, you exist inside of physically real time and space. You're not consciousness.
What do you mean? What? What do you mean you exist in a physically real time and space? We do exist in a physically real space and time. Yes?
Not infinite.
Okay.
That you're gonna suffer. You're gonna have pain. You're gonna have anxiety. Really. Suffering and anxiety is the other really big word. Right? You're anxious. That's the thing. You're anxious. You're restless. It's like, I'm a separate entity in time. I'm finite. I have to do something really important and really meaningful with my life because I don't feel whole. I feel unfulfilled. And so we need to investigate these assumptions. You see, we need to investigate our models, investigate our programs, investigate our identity, investigate our way of being.
I was literally about to say, is he just about to reinvent Buddhism? Is he about to say, like, we need to detach ourselves and, like, find a middle path and not... like I was about to say, is he just gonna reinvent Buddhism?
And so let's now do the new model.
I'm very curious what his new model is.
It's a little hard to see. Let me switch to the darker green.
Apparently your collective consciousness couldn't foresee that one.
It's hard to contrast it with the blue, though. How about the purple?
Right over it, you coward!
Yeah, I think this is going to be the best. Yeah, let's try that. Let's go with the purple. All right. So now in the new model, essentially the symbols, there's really two symbols that we want to use to make us feel rooted and to make us feel whole.
Oh my god, is he drawing a fucking tree? Is this Yggdrasil? Are you drawing Yggdrasil? The ratio's off on that. The trunk to branch ratio is bad.
And it's a tree. And then really a circle, which
looks
is,
like a
it's
shit
basically
broccoli.
this, the leaf structure of the tree. So you have, it's really a tree plus sign, a circle.
Yeah, of course. The tree and the
Which you could
circle.
also
We all
say
know
is
that.
a cycle or a loop.
Why didn't you just call it a tree plus a cycle or loop?
So
Where's the circle in the tree? Oh, wait. Oh, okay. You go around the tree? Why do I go around the tree? Why
So
is it a
then-
tree?
So we're saying, we're suggesting in the new model,
Why a tree, though? I'm not... Just because it's like a natural thing?
is that the root of the tree, of what you are, of what infinity is consciousness. Going up the tree,
Like a little keeper lord elf.
and we'll go ahead and we'll write it. Let's draw a very relatable symbol.
DNA? A double helix? Why is it DNA? But why is the trunk
Well,
DNA?
Up the trunk.
I swear to God, these people just genuinely think like science is just drawing shapes that look cool in textbooks. Like, genuinely, is the experience these people have of science or anything in their life just like opening a textbook and seeing the pictures and then they close the book? That feels like what they're doing. It's like they're working backwards from, I need someone to open this book as a textbook and see cool shapes. Lennon Cat with 40 bits says, this feels so random, like he's just winging it and had no plan for this. It's like listening to a small child tell a story where they're clearly just making it up sentence by sentence. A good description of my stream.
We have DNA as a symbol for code or programs, right?
Reality is the
and then
tree.
we have reality.
Reality is the top part of the tree. What do you call that? Because there's like the trunk of the tree. What's the part that's not the trunk? Like it's all the branches, but is there a word for the collective group of all the branches of the tree that's the top part? Not the trunk? I'm not an arborist. Canopy? There you go. Reality is the canopy. It kind of rhymes, so that probably tracks. Canopy reality. There you
So these words are also important to say are equivalent to.
Is it important that the first 3 letters of programs are on the left side of the tree and the next 5 are on the right side of the tree? Because you could have split that even. You could have split it 4 and 4, but you went 3 and 5. Is there a particular reason you did that? Is that important to the metaphysics of this DNA tree reality? Or is that just like you didn't think it through before you wrote it?
Or interchangeable with.
Does he think programs are grams that are professional?
So consciousness, gravity.
He's literally writing under the tree, like the soil of the tree is consciousness, gravity. Bootloader? Oh, like from a computer, like a bootloader.
You could even put down here, God, simulator.
You could, but why would ya? Lenin Cat says no, the programs, because they are propaganda, he demands amateur grams.
So that ties together the root of the metaphysics, which then through the programs or the scripts or the codes or the ideas is another great word for this. Through what is put in the program slot of the bootloader, you're running a code or running a program or running an ideology that then generates the reality or experience.
So the metaphysic is my seed for my Minecraft server. Okay.
We're gonna just write as the 2 letters XP. Experience. Love that from gaming so much. Experience. Information. It's really your texture, your sensations. What appears, right? Your appearance. Okay.
You spelled that wrong.
So this new model is
it's not
consciousness.
It's not really a model. It's just kind of like a drawing you did that you say represents these things. But like none of the things you're saying are evident at all. You haven't presented any evidence for this? You're just pointing at it like it should be self-evident. Like people should look at this and go, ah, yes, that makes sense. It doesn't.
Centered model. So this old model is
What's the cycle part? I think it's supposed to be representative of reincarnation. So reincarnation on the bingo card. And yes, we already had evidence as self-evident on the bingo card. But if you didn't already fill it out, make sure you do.
really a time-based model. It's a local realism model. There's a physical, independently existing place called a universe and a world that exists without consciousness. And then it just so happens that consciousness comes and goes, arises and passes within this physical space. Whereas this new model, which is really also an ancient model.
It's almost done, darling Dr. Lamb Chop.
It's really
I get it.
Perhaps even the most ancient model. It's the well of all existence. That's really never changed. It's never moved. It's never changed. These are very important ways of understanding. Let's say so write it in this color.
Still not as bad as the milk
Never
fetish
moves,
guy.
never changes,
The Mish milk fetish guy.
yet freely, creatively, simulates whatever it wants.
Why am I suddenly craving tacos?
And so the new way of seeing and being is a unified way of seeing and being. So when you're seeing and being and experiencing with your family or your friends or work or whatever you're doing,
Taco Friday, it might be. I might go get stuff for tacos after stream.
doing it
Tacos sound good.
from a place of unification.
I need some beef and some cheese.
You're doing it from a place of infinity. You're doing it from a place of love and wholeness. You're doing it from that place. By the way, this is not supposed to be
Oh, fuck,
better.
Hannah mentions cheese on the bingo card. Like, you'd think I'd be able to remember that, but I really don't. I genuinely just mentioned cheese that much. I don't like that I'm a cartoon character of myself. Sometimes I wish I could be a real person instead of a caricature. I would really appreciate it.
It's a very important way of understanding the cyclic nature of reality. And
White girl tacos, and they'll be the whitest, girliest tacos. I can't handle anything spicy. I don't even want beans on that thing. Those are unrelated, I know. Beans aren't spicy necessarily, but probably just gonna put some Fritos in it, because I like crunch in the taco.
Consciousness and experience. The point isn't to transition the entire world or humanity to this way of seeing or being. That's not the point. The point is, for whoever feels like they want to
Depends on who you ask,
transition to
Phoenix.
this new model, or that they've been feeling this new model is the nature of reality or existence, then they just come from this model. They experience reality from this model. They experience joy, creativity, and freedom and being from this model. When tough things happen, they experience it from this model. They see it as a learning experience for themselves. You know, they see it as they're trying to learn more about the nature of consciousness, even if it includes crying or pain or grieving or suffering or hard things. Hard things through the lotus, right? The roots are in muddy water, but you get this beautiful flower, right? So through the lotus, you actually get to learn. You get this wisdom
The
through
constant reasoning by metaphor is a little maddening.
that tough process.
There's like there's physical reality and there's like mental concepts, you know? Like this is a physical thing, you know? And then there's like concepts in your head and rhetoric and ideas. And I feel like conspiracy theorists do this thing where they completely get detached from the differentiation between physical, like material reality and the internal world of concepts and rhetoric and metaphor. And it's like they just completely detach and they just get lost in this world of like mental gymnastics. Weird place to live. Like they no longer have any sort of material anchoring for their thought process.
It's pretty good for...
Freyline says, this is stupid. We all know the truth of our existence. We're the dreams of the old ones. A
new model. So that's the first chapter, let's say, of this digital metaphysics. So now we'll go ahead and let's end the stream on the chapter, and then we'll start a new stream for the next chapter. So that way there'll be little packaged, hopefully around 30 minutes or less content per chapter, and that will be pretty accessible.
Will it be? Jesus.
All right. Yeah. Thanks for tuning into the first one, and feel free to jump into the comments and chit chat below, and much love. Thanks for tuning in, and see you on the next one.
This guy's completely lost. This poor guy. This guy, I don't know if you need to know this, by the way. This guy almost has 100,000 subscribers. Like, people dig this guy, apparently. Well, that's a shame. I do plan on covering this guy again in the future, but it'll probably be on, like, Tinfoil Spotlight videos. So if this was not for you, I understand. It's a little dry compared to some of the other stuff. But I find his thought process interesting. So, in the future, we might do a Tinfoil Spotlight on some of his further beliefs. But until then, let's get into some other stuff. Oh, this is interesting. Hey, Wretched Recess, how you doing? Freyline says, bits for humoring me. You already gave me bits, but thank you. I appreciate it.
Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. It looks like you're enjoying that Gem video. I'm so glad. I am not done with Gem. I'm going to go through the 3 seasons and talk about more of the messed up stuff, but I just wanted to get something out there to let you know I was working on that. Happy you're enjoying it. Okay. The video I was going to make was about the Nambla episode of South Park.
Why? It's like 20 years old.
And then I
might be 30 years old at this point.
Kind of just, like, my train of thought went down a different path. So this will be the next video coming soon. We can look forward to that. But I just wanted to have a conversation today and talk to you guys about, like, what's on my mind and, like, the kind of stuff I think about, because I know you guys have such great insight to to so many things, and I learn from you, and I never come on here acting like I'm an expert or I know it all. I learn so much from everybody in the comments. Just a note, I am not satanic. I have no interest in becoming
Satanic on the bingo card.
satanic. Like, it's just something that I feel like is
I was not satanic with that woman.
super important to understand, like, even just at the surface level, to understand so much of what goes on in this world. Um, and I feel like I've been focusing my attention more on like learning, about all of that stuff. And I'm like, I feel like I know more about that stuff than I do about like actual God. And like, I'm not, um, I don't know. Like I was raised Christian. I just have so many questions about everything, but I definitely believe in God because I completely believe that there's a Satan. Just look at the world we live in, right? Like, take a look at the world around you. Look at this.
It confuses me if someone says that they don't understand how evil can exist, if they don't understand how evil can exist without there being a literal humanoid being that is the source of evil. What? In what universe does evil require a goat man with a pointy trident to like make people bad? What are you talking about?
Okay, so I'll try to find something more exciting for you to look at here, but here's where my train of thought has been over the last couple of days. Just about like how satanic the internet and like cell phones truly are.
Then get off the internet! What are you talking about, you hypocrite? Hypocrisy on the bingo card. Come on, you have a YouTube channel and you're calling the internet satanic?
I just feel like everybody's walking around like a bumblefuck idiot, like with all of these devices and not even questioning anything. Like, what about your health? Like, what do you think all of this like radiation in the air and in your pocket and stuff is doing to your body? Like,
Oh no, all the radiation in the air, all that non-ionizing background radiation.
to me, none of it can be good. Do we know what the effects of Wi-Fi are?
We do. There aren't any. Thanks for asking.
Do we know? Yes, we do know there's been many studies, I believe, about like cell phone radiation.
She believes. She won't cite any, but she believes it.
And you see people walking with their cell phones in their pockets or by their boobs. And I'm like, what are you doing? It's so bad. Like, they say you shouldn't even have your cell phone like within like, I think it's like 3 feet or something. I don't know. I don't feel like looking at
Who says that? They say that? Who says that? That's just a thing you're saying. That's not true. You're fine. It's not ionizing radiation. That's not how any of this works. You have no idea how cell phones work. Please stop trying to sound smart.
it up, but you should not have it pressed against your body, in my opinion. It's dangerous.
Okay, well, you're wrong. That's not an opinion. That's just something you believe that happens to be incorrect.
But I've just been thinking about things that are in the air, like our airwaves. And so I started coming across some, good articles. Thank God people are questioning.
They're good articles, and you can tell because she agreed with them. That's how you know if it's good, whether or not it agreed with what you already believe.
The
Did the thing you read make you feel good? That thing's true. Did the thing you read make you feel stupid or icky? That thing's bad. Fake news.
internet, they're like, is it made of demons? Is it a tool of Satan? Which I like completely.
Did you just say, is the internet made of demons? That's the coolest thing I've ever heard. I wish the internet was made of demons. That would make my job so much cooler.
believe technology is? This is like the most
Demons in my computer, I beseech you, grant me a wish or a prescription for Ozempic. Either one.
unnatural thing in the world. Like, and I just feel like I came across something the other day. It was an article about like, uh-oh, do your cell phones like your text messages aren't really private. Like, be careful now. Like, I don't even want to send people texts about anything anymore. It's
I
gonna
hope demons are reading my text messages. Good. We'll have some good reading. It'll just be about Blu-rays and stupid memes. I hope a demon has to read the bullshit I write. Ashley One Up says it must be true. I saw it on a sourceless Facebook post.
turn out that like everything you write
The source was Cousin Patty. Why would Cousin Patty post it if it wasn't true?
on your phone is probably like, I just think this is probably all like just tracking everybody. Just like, with those Alexa things, which I never got, how like they can actually hear you guys. This stuff is real. It's like so freaking scary. And I feel like nobody's thinking about, not nobody, the people on this channel are, but you know what I mean? I think it's like a lot worse than what we think. Um, have you read the book 1984 with like
Literally 1984!
that technology? And I'll be honest, I read a few chapters and I never finished it, and I probably
You know what? I'll commend her for being the one conspiracy theorist or right-wing person I've ever seen bring up 1984 to actually own up to not actually having read 1984 or only starting the first chapter or two. It's not that long, but like, at least she admitted it. I see people all the fucking time in conspiracy circles talking about 1984, and it's clear they haven't read the thing, or even seen any of the movies. There's like 15 fucking movie versions of it too, if you'd prefer.
should.
The one in the Criterion collection's pretty good. And it mentions Blu-rays on the bingo card.
Um,
Have I read or seen it? Both. I've read it years ago, like back around high school times. Along with Brave New World, but I remember Brave New World better because I liked it more so. But I've seen the movie multiple times. The one with John Hurt as Winston.
but has anybody seen the show Black Mirror? There's so many freaky episodes of that, but like slowly, that's the world they want. That's what the world is becoming.
Is that the one
Sure.
that came out in 1984? I think so, yeah.
Sure.
My favorite dystopian movie, I think about it in the same category because it's next to on my shelf. They're both in the Criterion collection, and I have both, and they're next to each other because they're both dystopian fiction. Brazil is my favorite dystopian fiction anything of all time.
How much more can they upgrade these phones? And then yeah, it's
Black Mirror season 7 comes out next month. That's pretty cool.
gonna they'll implant it into your eyeballs. Like there's an episode of Black Mirror like that. It's so scary. So that was a little bit of a rant. Sorry, but did you know that the Bible calls Satan Prince of the Air? And there's one reference where I think it's Prince of the Power of the Air. Think about what's in the air. Prince of the Power of the Air. Isn't like why
Is this 5G? I'll count it. She's talking about wireless signals in general, but it's the spirit of the space, so I'll count this for 5G, 6G on the bingo card.
Wi-Fi in the air isn't like
Hope they have more episodes this time. They do. There's either 5 or 7 episodes this season.
like
I forget the exact number. Might be 6.
cellular networks. Like all of this stuff is in the air. And you can Google that. Why is Satan called the Prince of the Power of the Air? But when you think about it like that and think about it in terms of all of this crap that's in the air now, like that's some scary stuff to me. And like why was the internet invented? Like, have you ever
You could look that up. It's always annoying to me when these people pose what are effectively rhetorical questions. When it's not a rhetorical question, you could literally Google where the internet came from. Like, you could do that. You don't need to use it as a rhetorical device to be like, well, who knows? I guess it's demons since we don't have an answer. You could have an answer. Look it up. Ask someone who actually knows. You're on a video. You could have edited this and put in an answer, but instead you're rhetorically just going, I don't know a thing, so it must be demons. Ugh.
Just stop to think about that. I came across this like amazing article written by somebody who had a conversation with a New York cab driver. Hold on, let me see if I can find that again. All right, well, I think the article is pulled up on my phone and I can't find it. Let me just continue with the video and I'll show you this meme, who will win the internet. But this is basically what the article was saying, like, okay, so this cab driver was like convinced he had a conversation with Satan and like he was driving Satan around.
And if I can trust anyone for their theological advice, cab drivers in New York City.
In his cab. And then the next guy that got in the cab, like the driver was telling him what he said. Like, I don't know how true it is, but it's a really interesting story.
Isn't it funny that this is like just a complete bullshit? This is a story about a friend of a friend who talked to a cab driver who claimed he drove Satan. Like, this is how these people navigate life, is you heard a friend of a friend talk about a thing that a guy said, and this is like how you gather information about the world. No wonder your brain is fucked. Have you ever thought about, like, reading something with a source? With evidence? Not just believing things because they feel good? Ugh.
Because the cab driver was explaining that Satan and the devil and evil, like,
Lennon Cat says, everybody knows that Fairy Queen Mab is the ruler of the air and darkness.
love to invent things, and preferably things that could be used for good or evil, and then sit back and watch everybody, you know, screw up and use it for evil, like he would want, like he intended. Like, you have a choice, you can use it for good or evil. So, you know, just think about, you know, the internet is like a huge dumpster fire of like lots of bad stuff. And
The internet is a dumpster fire, says the trash currently ablaze.
sure, you can use it for good, but a lot of people use it like in negative ways. Sorry, I'm not showing you like the best visuals today, but hopefully you're getting something from the conversation. And I'm not trying to lecture anybody. I'm just like sharing with you what's on my mind. Let's talk about WWW, because that's something I started thinking
Oh,
of.
this is so funny. She asks this and comes to such a bizarre conclusion, and it's like, I don't even need to look this up. I know the answer to this, and most of you probably do too. Why is it called WWW? What does WWW stand for? World Wide Web. It stands for World Wide Web. How do you... She's older than me. How does she not know this? She's like at least a decade older than me, and I know that. How does she not know what the World Wide Web is? Instead, she decides it's 666, because of course she does. Mark of the Beast on the bingo card.
About this week, like, who chose WWW? There's a reason for everything. So listen to this. You know, there's always an answer.
There's more than one even. There's an answer for everything you could possibly want to believe, and she found one that fit her worldview perfectly. Thanks, Internet. A worldview for everyone, no matter what.
Okay, wait. So, I found several things on the internet that says, is it true that WWW
We
is...
found that truthfulness in delivering answers to customers wasn't very good for customer satisfaction. We found it easier to give them answers that they liked. This'll go well. Yeah. Let's do that. Let's do that. Let's do that.
666 in Hebrew language. And most of the answers say yes. This one says yes and no.
Most of the answers say yes. I hate her. I hate her. I hate her so much. I try to at least appear as like, fuck this bitch. Like, I'm so over it. I am so over this hateful, ignorant woman.
And then they give an explanation how, well, I'll just read it to you. How do you get 666 from www? The Hebrew and Greek alphabet do not, I'm not sure about the grammar in this post, they do not have separate characters or alphabets for numbers and letters. Letters are also used as numbers. You know, so then they type out like whatever it is. And so basically the www in the Hebrew language translate to 666. I am just telling you what these people are saying. I don't know if that's true. I would be willing to bet it's true because I'm
not sure if that's gematria. We'll count it. That's fine.
www seems a little random. Yeah, the
World Wide Web! World Wide Web! World Wide Web!
World Wide Web. I'll never forget. I was a junior in high school, and the year was probably, yeah, like 1996. And yeah, the librarian had us like, you know, we were sitting in the school library and she was explaining about this new thing called the World Wide Web. Crazy, you know, and the world hasn't been the same ever since. So it was like, yeah, like a new invention. And just think about, like, it's such a shithole now. Oh my God. But yeah, this one says
Rainey says, the real problem with this lady, to my mind, isn't so much the utter nonsense she spouts, but the quiet matter-of-fact and conversational fashion in which she does it. That's what gets to me, too. Like, it's so banal. Like, it's so deeply, when you look at what she actually believes and how she feels about other people, it's so evil and so hateful and is wrapped in so much, like, lack of empathy for other human beings, but she treats it like a game. Like, it's just a little funny thing that goes along with her celebrity culture thing. Just bizarre. It really, really encapsulates just, like, the blasé nature of evil for a lot of people. It really sucks.
www equals 666. And they basically, you know, there's a lot of things online that talk about the Hebrew.
Conspiracy theorist shows up in chat on the bingo card. There's one in YouTube chat, because of course it's in YouTube chat.
Letter and language here translating into 666. Okay, this is creepy, but also like I used to think a lot, like I used to work from a laptop quite a bit. Every time you're scrolling like this, like look at the sign your hand makes. You're literally making devil horns every
Then don't do that. No one's like. Are we seriously at the point where they're investigating their own hands when they happen to do different activities? Oh my God, they're making me do an Illuminati symbol. No, lady, you're doing that. You are doing that. I don't even do that. If I'm on one of those pads, I use my pointer finger. You're the one. You're doing it. You're blaming other people for the thing you're doing with your hand and deciding that your own hand motion is suspicious. This is a level of illness that I didn't think we could aspire to on this hell rock of a planet. Oh.
time you're like scrolling on your mouse pad. Did you guys ever think about that? I used to think about that like all the time, but now at my job, I'm on like
You used to think about that all the time?
a regular keyboard and stuff. But yeah,
Has
like
this lady seen a beautiful mind?
literally, I would think about that all the time. You're always constantly making devil horns when you scroll like that, which is creepy. I think that's a South Park devil. I'll leave you with that. But yeah, I watched the whole South Park Nambla episode yesterday, and sorry, I just felt like sharing what was on my mind. I hope you guys will leave some insightful comments below. Maybe this topic is obvious to you. It's just something I've been thinking about this week. And yeah, I'll see you in the next video. And we'll, there's a lot of, I used to love the show South Park. There's a lot of funny episodes, obviously, but there's some, there's like the Nambla one is like kind of really gross. So I'll talk about that the next time. Thanks for watching. Bye. This was like a depressing video. Sorry about that. Okay, bye.
Oh boy, she's something. Harold Elvelman says, in the words of one of my favorite children's books, it could always be worse, a Yiddish folk tale. I have to pee. I'm gonna use the bathroom real quick, and then we'll come back and do more tinfoil fun. While I do that, Chair will tell you about Merry Christmas, Mr. Lawrence, which has David Bowie in it. Pretty good stuff. Be right back. Ugh. I'm back. Let's see what's next.
Wires on the pylons of the old world. Today, why do we see no wires on the pylons of the old world? Today, our streets are filled with these pylons with wires, but the ancients seem to have no wires. In fact, they were harnessing free energy. Have you ever noticed the metal balls which are on all of the ancient buildings? You probably still have them now. These metal balls were filled with mercury, and on top of them was an antenna which was harnessing the electromagnetic energy. This energy was then sent to
Believe sci-fi technology exists on the bingo card?
the mercury and watch what happens with mercury. This would cause the mercury to spin and create free energy. The word
No, it's not free energy, though. They're putting energy into this system. That's not free. You're putting energy into it. What?
cathedral comes from cathedral.
Incorrect word origin is evidence. A cathedral, like a cathode, instead of a cathedral. That's pretty good.
Anode and the cathode, because it's creating electricity. All of these buildings around the world all had the same antennas. This is because it was the great Tartarian Empire.
Tartaria on the bingo card. Lenin Cat with 40 bits says, I would also like to point out that the Hebrew gematria is addictive. 666 is not 3 separate sixes, but the concrete value 666. Not that it's particularly relevant, since the New Testament was written in Greek, not Hebrew. It is also explicitly 666 in Greek as well.
Take a look for yourself.
Doesn't understand architecture on the bingo card? Sinister architecture that looks different than modern American architecture. It must mean something, but I won't spend time actually learning what it does mean about society, or history, or changes in aesthetic preferences over time and their relation to the material conditions of said era. I just think it's evil.
1970s kung fu like I do.
Wait, what did he say about Kung Fu?
Just either
I feel like I talk about material conditions a lot. Wonder who I got that from.
night I was watching 1970s kung fu like I do. I'm a big fan of watching the older kung fus, you know, the ones that were still reminiscent of the actual art form before all the trickery and the strings and then the CG and...
I'm sorry, before the strings. Sir, have you seen a Shaw Brothers film? Like line, what do they call that? The people who very specifically do the line work and stuff. That is a huge thing in old kung fu movies. Don't fucking come at me about this shit, goddamn asshole.
all the deception that got thrown into these productions. To me, it's the art form more than the art form. It's the spiritual art form, if you will. It's physical, spiritual, it's mental. Kung Fu is all of these things. But what I really find interesting about the 1970s movies...
He thinks there wasn't line work in the 70s? I guess. I don't know if he thinks that stuff people were doing in some 70s Kung Fu movies were real. Like, don't get me wrong, there's really impressive stunt work in a lot of Kung Fu movies. It's one of the reasons they're so enjoyable, is because there's a lot of really impressive stunt work and fighting choreography going on a lot of the time. But to act as though that's real is bizarre.
When they're in Hong Kong and they're in China and they're in Japan and they're in Korea, you know, various, not just Kung Fu, but, you know, various Japanese styles and this and that. They're reflecting old stories. They're bringing them into the modern age, if you will, reinterpreting them, but they're utilizing these old backgrounds. They're walking through these areas, and this is like the 70s, right? So there are still some things left in these Asian areas that were reminiscent
in these Asian areas,
their ages, and the pagodas in Japan.
Wait, what about the pagodas?
And
Godzilla likes a good pagoda.
they were all
I understand what he's saying. He's saying that he thinks they got energy. They didn't. It's not a thing.
like this, and there's some kind of energy tower. I don't know what they are, but they most certainly have these, man, these, they look like lightning rods, kind of, but not really. They do have the balls in them. They have, it's not decorative. It's not. It's
Decorative?
It's not something that's stylistic, because you see it in Europe, you see it in Asia, you see it everywhere. Now, I don't necessarily believe
He
that
thinks pagodas were energy towers. If they weren't, why would Godzilla knock them over all the time? Obviously.
there was
He's powering up, you fool.
one worldwide empire. I do think that the technology was worldwide, and I think the styles were reflected and replicated worldwide, no doubt, and without any doubt. No doubt. No doubt at all. The fact that the pyramids are the exact
Your lack of doubt does not evidence make.
same size. And in Tenochtitlan and in Giza, I think was off by half an inch. The circuitry that's built underneath the ground, underneath these things, with the quartz, it looks like a giant microchip if you look at it
What?
from an aerial view.
No, it
But
doesn't. What
these
are you
Japanese
talking about?
pagodas that I'm watching in this movie, and I'm like shaking my head because I know they're not there anymore. I know it's been dismantled. I'm sure there's remnants here or there, but these major landmark locations, I'm pretty sure they've been dismantled. All the circuitry, all the things that made them work have been disabled.
Yeah, he's talking over a video from other people. That's why the subtitles are wrong.
There's something to this. And the fact that you can make Tesla coils. The fact that you can make Tesla coils with no wires. I mean, utilizing, this energy that can be drawn. I mean, utilizing the ground, utilizing the ether, and things that we just...
Once again, there is no ether. The luminifarious aether was a hypothesis back in the day. Not a thing. Not a thing.
Don't understand. Or we...
If I remember correctly, it's basically a hypothesized medium through which light traveled, because light is a particle, but it acts as a wave. And before they understood that it was a particle that acted as a wave, they thought, as a wave, how does it travel? What is it traveling through? Because for a wave, it needs a medium. So they hypothesized the luminifarious aether, which turned out to not be true, because you don't actually need a medium, because again, light travels as particles. It just looks like waves, behaves like waves.
Do understand, but it's constantly getting shut down, squashed, and distorted. Okay, this isn't fantasy. There's something to this. Without a doubt, there's something to this. I'd say toroidal magnetoelectric. I don't know specifically. I don't think anybody really knows specifically. And I think it's disingenuous to jump on this or that. But not to point it out, that's foolish. And to ignore it, that's foolish. There's something to this.
With nothing left to lose, this insider dropped a confession that cuts deeper than any knife.
There we go.
NASA is not the crown jewel of human achievement. It's a grand illusion crafted to blind us. According to the shocking
Was it AI generated? I don't think it was.
deathbed confession of the man they dubbed the father of NASA. A titan of the space age, he carried the weight of a lifetime's secrets until his final breath, when the truth came pouring out like a dam breaking. With nothing left to lose, this insider dropped a confession that cuts deeper than any knife. A lifetime of secrets exposing a web of deception. Now, the elite are racing to bury the truth before it buries them. Join us as we dig into his final words and ask the chilling question. What if everything NASA ever touched was a deception to keep us all in chains? Before we dive in, join the TPV free speech community over on Soju. Soju is
The free speech community.
the digital
Shilling on the bingo card.
space where ideas and information can take place without any annoying algorithms or restrictive rules getting in the way of free expression. Meet Wernher von Braun, a genius rocket scientist forged in the crucible of Nazi Germany. The mastermind behind the V2 rocket that turned Europe's
Forged in the crucible of Nazi Germany. Not phrasing I would use.
skies into a theatre of terror. A visionary with a ruthless edge, he swapped his Third Reich past for a starring role in America's ascent, becoming the so-called father of NASA and an architect of the space age. But beneath the stardust lies a darker tale. Deep in the shadows of power, the former Nazi, embraced by the US elite, knew secrets that would make your
Dog whistle. I'd say that's thinly veiled, maybe. It feels like the imagery it invokes is less negative of Nazi Germany than it should be. Maybe I'm stretching, but that's how I feel about it.
blood run cold. Von Braun, a man who knew the global elite's playbook inside and out, whispered chilling truths to his inner circle about the New World Order's grand design for humanity's future. And here's the kicker. It's unfolding exactly as he predicted.
This sounds like AI. That's just what this guy sounds like. I've heard this guy before. He works for InfoWars, I think, or at least he's been on InfoWars. Though I could be wrong.
Step by calculated step. Coincidence? Or something far darker?
Because, like, I know of this guy.
You decide.
When Wernher von Braun
But it could be a situation like Marcel, where it's like an AI of the real guy. His voice does sound like that.
was dying of cancer, he asked me to be his spokesperson, to appear on occasions when he was too ill
Oh! Oh, I know her. She's a crackpot. Oh. Oh. Yeah, I'm familiar with her, actually. Yeah. I mean, are you surprised? Oh, a crackpot showed up on Tinfoil Tuesday. No, she's yeah. She goes to these conferences and is like, oh yeah, Wernher von Braun definitely told me all the secrets on his deathbed.
to speak. And
Yeah, we could watch this real quick. This is a really great song that is in the public domain because he released his music to the public domain. Wernher von Braun. Nazi schnazi, says Wernher von Braun.
Well, speaking of bombs, what is it that makes America the world's greatest nuclear power? And what is it that will make it possible for us to spend $20,000 million of our taxpayers' money to put some idiot on the moon? Well, it was the great, enormous superiority of American technology, of course, as provided by our great American scientists, such as Dr. Wernher von Braun. Gather round while I sing you of Wernher von Braun, a man whose allegiance is ruled by expedience. Call him a Nazi, he won't even frown. Nazi schmazi, says Wernher von Braun. Don't say that he's hypocritical.
Ryan Cooper says, I hate how they slander von Braun. He was in the Nazi party because people were questioning his loyalty, threatening his family with imprisonment. Here's the thing. If you work for the Nazis because they're threatening you, you're still working for the Nazis. You know what I mean? And maybe it's one thing if you get in there and you intentionally are sabotaging a bunch of shit, and you're basically trying to hurt as much as you can behind the scenes. But, like, he actively helped develop weapons for the Nazis. So, like, at minimum, can we admit that, like, Wernher von Braun is a, well, let's be generous and call him a complicated figure. Just saying. Working for NASA doesn't make it that you didn't help develop weapons for the Nazis, you know? Like, just, nah, can't let that one go, man. I just can't.
Say rather that he's apolitical. Once the rockets are up, who cares where they come down? That's not my department, says Wernher von Braun. Some have harsh words for this man of renown, but some think our attitude should be one of gratitude, like the widows and cripples in old London town, who owe their large pensions to Wernher von Braun. You too may be a big hero once you've learned to count backwards to zero.
There's not many people who didn't work for the Nazis because they were killed. And maybe if fewer people agreed to work for the Nazis in the first place, fewer people would have been killed for not working with the Nazis. Again, I'm just like, I really can't. I can't. And it'd be one thing, too, if it's like, I'm gonna shoot you in the head if you aren't a janitor for this office run by the Nazis. He was actively helping develop weapons for helping the Nazis win the war. You know what I mean, guys? I get it. It's fine for you to have complicated feelings about it, but it's not like he was some guy who was having no effect on the result of the war if he worked for them. He developed deadly weapons that could have helped the Nazis win the war. Like, do I need to express why that's bad and why it's pretty hard to justify that, even if your family's being threatened or you're being threatened? You know what I mean?
Oder Englisch. I know how to count down. Und I'm
Lenin Cat says Oskar Schindler worked for the Nazis too, but he actively undermined their plans, which is why he has status, yeah, or has a statue rather. Yes.
Learning Chinese, says Wernher von Braun.
Everyone was at war. Was the good guys the winner? I'm gonna go ahead and say the good guys weren't the ones trying to exterminate Jewish people throughout Europe and the world. You know, the ones that weren't the fascists in the war. Really? 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 Are we equivocating on Nazi Germany? Like, there's so many wars that you can try and be like, oh, well, you know, let's look at this from, let's look at both sides. No, this is like the war that you can't do that, man. This is like the war where you're like, nah. This is the one where you can have a pretty black and white view. Just saying. Only the Stasi knew that. Yeah, everyone was just like, wow, where are all our Jewish neighbors disappearing to? Huh. Wow, we're rounding them up and giving them identifiers, and they're disappearing, and their businesses are being destroyed, and they're being systemically disappeared after being discriminated against. Huh, wonder what's going on here. Fuck off. Ultra Undying says, can we say the people who put my grandfather in a concentration camp and blew my great-uncle into a canal are the bad guys? They both lived. Thanks for that ban, Dr. Baha. I'm not dealing with that shit. Nope. Can't do it.
So this is kind of an interesting mix mash of two separate topics. I honestly don't remember who made the video, but I was recently watching a video talking about these alleged YouTube polyglots and how...
Can you come on and explain this lie? How long would it take?
It just is not
How long would it take?
Believable that there's people out there that claim to speak way too many languages fluently.
Very short. All right, give me a call on Discord real quick and you can explain. And then we'll do the Hans video. You do not, in fact, have to hand it to the Nazis. Very true. Very true. Hello! Hello? Can you hear me?
Yes,
Okay.
just making sure I have the stream muted. Okay.
Go ahead, explain.
So the claim of, like, no one knew what was happening with anti-Semitism,
Yeah.
First off, presumes that anti-Semitism was not rampant in Europe for literally hundreds of years ahead of time.
Yeah.
The reason why it gets hyper-focused on this, like, revisionment is in 3 parts, basically. Part 1 is the allyship between certain aspects of Israel and the Nazi Party, right? I'm not trying to get, like, modern-day political, but it was within the interest of the Nazi Party to convince as many people in Germany that were Jewish to just leave, because that's less work for you in the long run,
Yeah,
right?
the original plan, to my understanding, was to deport, first by trying to pressure, and then by force deport Jewish people out of Germany, which of course ended up developing into the final solution, which, yeah.
Yeah, because they tried other ones before that.
Yeah.
So, like, there was a lot of PR that, like, if smart Nazis after World War II dug up that old, like, propaganda about find your new homeland and stuff and used that to revise it.
Yeah.
Thing number 2 is how much money fascists in Europe, not just necessarily German fascists, but, like, individuals that were pro-fascist coalition in France, in Italy, in Germany, in England, like multiple groups put a lot of money in the media coverage of like the contextualization of fascist violence. Like it was at the point where the architect for a bunch of buildings in DC was like, we need to make sure that these fascist governments have a opportunity to prove themselves as viable, so we have to buy all this marble from Italy. So like there's this mass branding that was done by the fascist party that, again, much like about the exportation stuff, gave people a way of outing it. And then number 3 is kind of this is gonna sound bad, but Germany was in an interesting political position in that it was literally split in half.
Yeah.
And all of its resources were being utilized after World War II.
Yeah.
And the people that were in charge of that were highly, like, because you can't replace a government, not overnight. It takes decades to do that in an effective manner. So basically, you need a way of PRing your way out of saying these individuals can still be in power. And often what people would cite with that is people that were not in that direct system of governance that was involved with like the camps, the death squads, all these efforts would be able to say, I don't know, the SS, they're scary dudes. I wasn't allowed to ask questions, which is like, again, reasonable thing if you're a normal dude on the street. But Anne Frank wasn't playing competitive hide and seek for no reason.
Yeah.
Like if you look at like really from the 1910s to the 1940s, there was a very steady escalation of violence against not just Jews, but like Jews and other groups as well in this entire region.
Yeah.
Where you look at the czars and like it was at the point where I believe one of the czars was like, can't we just convince them all to walk into the sea? Oh no, we can't. Damn. Anyways, that's the short version of the explanation. If anyone wants, they can reach out to me via Discord or I guess Twitch if they want a little bit more in-depth explanation.
Well, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
No problem.
All right, talk to you later. Bye. Yeah, it annoys the fuck out of me when people try and make the claim that, like, how could anyone have known? People didn't know. Bullshit, man. Pisses me off. I think that same person came back and you guys couldn't see it, but they just immediately went to a bunch of insults because they're mad that they got called out. And of course they come back the second time, very much mask off. Pretty funny. Anyway, on to the Hans thing.
So this is kind of an interesting mix mash of two separate topics. I honestly don't remember who made the video, but I was recently watching a video talking about these alleged YouTube polyglots and how it just is not believable.
Polyglot. That's someone who speaks many languages.
That there's people out there that claim to speak way too many languages fluently. And
oh, sorry, Altered Undying. Those were important bits, too. 40 bits says, I'm paying bills to make it clear my grandfather and uncle were in the Canadian Army. That is a good clarification.
I agree with that. I think anything beyond even 4, I think if somebody spoke 4 languages fluently, that is already getting kind of crazy. That's already somebody who...
I guess it depends on the languages, because there are languages that are pretty similar, like Spanish and Italian. So, like, there are certainly people who can speak 4 or 5 languages. There is, I guess, a problem. I've only recently gotten into some, like, YouTube drama videos about fake polyglots, because I guess that is a thing in the language learning community. There are, like, scam artists that try and make it appear like they know many more languages than they do, so you'll, like, buy their program. But, like, it's certainly possible. Many people do learn languages as a hobby. That's cool. Like, that's not a conspiracy. Amber says, we had a professor who did her entire dissertation on World War II. She once devoted an entire lesson to how to debunk the myth of the clean Wehrmacht. Hit us up, you neo-Nazi fuck.
Who dedicates a lot of their life to learning languages. Because learning a language fluently just takes so much time. I mean, I got a minor in a language, and I've been there and lived with it, and
wonder which one.
even that, because I don't use it anymore, I've lost it. I wouldn't.
Yeah, people have to continue to practice it. I've listened to some of these, again, language YouTubers, and if they don't keep up with the languages they've learned, they'll lose it. It's a use it or lose it situation. So, yeah, it's similar with a lot of hobbies. Like, imagine if you're a bodybuilder, right? You can get all, you know, bulked up and get fucking yolk, but if you stop, you lose it. Similar thing with languages. Yeah, use it or lose it.
Claim myself to be fluent in a language that I've actually dumped a lot of time into learning. And, of course, I don't consider myself somebody who wants to study languages, so if you do, you can learn multiple languages, but I do think that this is a good topic to be skeptical of. And this person in particular, very clickbaity type YouTube videos of surprising people, and it's like, too late, buddy. We know about how fake and, you know what, everything on the TV is and YouTube these days, and things are just scripted in advance, and especially this, like, polyglot thing. Oh, you know what? I'm remembering more about the video that I watched. It was about somebody who claimed to speak like 100 languages or something, but
yeah, that's bullshit. I don't think that's possible.
It was clear that they were just...
I don't know what the theoretical upper limit on human language learning is, but it's below 100, that's for sure.
Pretending to speak in a language, or maybe memorizing one sentence at a time, or in this guy's case, memorizing enough to make a video, which doesn't have...
Trey says, strange the H denier hasn't reached out to me. They're off sucking off Hitler's ghost. They don't have time to talk about things.
To be very
they have to go try and justify their existence by clinging on to the failures of losers from 100 years ago. Imagine sucking so bad and being such a loser that you identify with Adolf Hitler and the Nazis, some of the biggest fucking losers in human history. There have not been a group of people more universally considered to be idiots and evil, and you look at those people and go like, yeah, I identify with that. What a fucking self-goal. You could be so many things in this world, and you choose to be history's go-to villain. You choose to be the comically incompetent dipshits who take themselves so seriously they self-sabotage at every available opportunity. Cartoonish bullshit. Anyway.
Much. And
do I think he's talking about the video we watched? It is the video where he, like, interacts with a group of bonobos, so it is that. Nerdy with 40 bits says, I had a World War II fiction course at uni taught by a German woman whose grandfather was a member of the SS. Unsurprisingly, she said he was ashamed and refused to talk about what he did. There was a moment where we were talking about Help for Heroes, a UK charity to help veterans, and one of the guys asked if there were a German equivalent. She took a long pause and said, yeah, honoring German World War II veterans would not go down well. The poor guy looked thoroughly embarrassed, he asked.
I mean, just some...
This one's for all the veterans. Both sides.
Interesting. Let's get conspiracy. Why not? I see some orange and purple going on in the thing, and looking a little sus, pointing at the chin, and with the camera looking back at us over there. Anyone who's this big, less than 1,000 videos and like so many millions... that is a lot.
He has almost 1,000 videos. That's not crazy if you're popular. Like, I don't necessarily, like, I haven't watched a ton of this guy's content. I've seen a little bit of it. It's pretty formulaic. He'll go to a country or a location with people who speak some language he happens to speak, and he will surprise them by speaking with them conversationally. I don't know how good he's actually doing. I don't speak any languages other than English and very, very, very little Spanish. But either way, he just makes, like, big, very shareable YouTube videos. It's not that crazy to imagine he's popular. He makes very digestible things that I'm sure people send to each other all the time. Just that kind of
a lot
content.
of videos, but it's just not very natural. Most of these really big channels, I believe, have production teams behind them, and I don't think YouTube is fair.
To be clear, at 6.5 million subscribers, you probably do have a production team, even if it was only like an editor and a social media manager. At that level of success on YouTube or any other platform, you might have people working for you. That's not crazy. That's not a conspiracy. That's just how business works. As your business, in this case, this guy's YouTube channel, scales up, the amount of work potentially can scale up, and your income goes up enough that theoretically you can hire people to take some of that load off of you so you can more effectively run the business or make content. Like, it's not a conspiracy. That's just how the world works.
Fair at all, and I think they lie about the numbers constantly. And one thing, TV isn't what it used to be. YouTube is a new TV, and so just like back in the day people would pitch for a TV show, these big executive people behind the scenes are pitching for these YouTube channels, and they have the whole production team behind them. And I think that's more what's going on here, that we're watching entertainment pretending to be just some grassroots, I'm just a guy who learned languages. So I actually read the bio of this person. I guess I could talk about the bio. In my opinion, this just seems like somebody who went to China and they learned Chinese.
Alden Undying says, Hannah, something a little more fun about a guy who accidentally got a World War II vet at his tabletop. That sounds cool. I will take a look at that later. Thank you.
Pretty decently, and they have an interest in languages, I guess, but I don't think that they speak 20. This person, I think they claim to speak like 60 languages or more than that.
Yeah, that seems like bullshit. He probably knows phrases from at least 60 languages. But I don't think you can learn 60 languages fluently. I don't think that's possible, right? I don't know why I'm talking so confidently either. I'm not a language expert. I don't know. Just seems, from what I have heard from people in the language learning community, that is an absurd claim. Altered Undying says, Hannah, something a little more fun. Oh, I just read that. What the fuck? Sorry.
And I just don't think that that's possible. And I think that the obvious thing that's happening is it's like cramming for a test. You cram for your test, and then a month later, it's all out of your mind. I really would.
This just sounds like he's jealous of big channels. A lot of conspiracy channels are like that. It's just a lot of bitterness that they aren't more popular than they are. CC does that a lot.
Surprised if this guy has any long-term retention. When he says something like, I speak 60 languages, I think he means I've memorized a few basic phrases for about 60 languages at one point in time in my life. You know, just like a big, if you're gonna lie, these people, they just go big. If you're a liar and a deceiver and you're doing it for show, and you know, I'm making a product, I'm making something for entertainment, you go big. If you're gonna lie, you go big. That's how the big lie. That actually comes up later. There's a funny thing. So yeah, I just think it's a media sensation. This guy's trying to sell you something, and connected.
I mean, he's trying to sell you he's trying to get you to click on the video. Yeah, that's his job. I also don't know if he has a program. Sometimes language people will have like their own language program they sell. Don't know about him in particular. Lennon Cat says, fluent is a very nebulous term as well. No one I know who learned any languages as a second language would ever say they are fluent. At best, they say they have a working knowledge, i.e. they can go through an ordinary day without too much trouble.
with this. This is why I'm doing this video, because I was recommended this. Apes freaked out when I spoke.
Sells you something and he shows a fundraiser. That's true. This video, I think, was raising money for the ape sanctuary or whatever.
Already 2.4 million views, allegedly, in a couple days. 14,777. Did I mention the 18 mention over here? 18 is
It's
6.
not really a conspiracy, that's just a person lying. Well, the thing about Hans is he thinks bonobos aren't real, so he thinks that this guy's talking to a human in a bonobo suit. He doesn't think bonobos or chimps are real.
6 + 6.
He thinks they're all people in fursuits.
Had to mention that at 18 years old, they started doing whatever. 14 and then a 33. Very interesting. It's a fundraiser video, trying to make money. I think this is just all about money. This guy's all about money. Oh, that'll be here in a second too. The money thing, it's gonna come up. Look at this. I thought this was hilarious. I'm not gonna show the video. You could go find that video and watch it if you want to. There's probably so many hidden details, like who's this guy over here? That book. A lot of times they like to put interesting or pointed books in the background. It's all about the details and stuff. I mean, we do have the
there are probably a lot of language books. He's into languages.
purple shirt. But this was clearly, this at the beginning of the video cracked me up, how it's like, when somebody's, you just think of all the footage out there where people are like pointing, oh, when you're watching TV and they have people point and like look surprised. It's just so clearly like, all right, now here is where you pretend like you're really studying these apes. It was just so clearly produced footage.
He says Hans is more obsessed with furries than the GOP. Sorry, I couldn't resist. Did you see some GOP person introduced a bill to ban an attempt to ban any furry thing from schools? What the fuck?
So here we go. This was actually this weird lexicograph thing. I'll get into that later. This is a strange assortment of things on the table, though. Like, what's with the scissors? This is where it's all coming together, but I'm not going to say anything about it because, you know, it is what it is. And so there was an advertisement.
They're still obsessed with the fake litter box story. Oh yeah, they're idiots. They're genuinely deranged, psychotic, ignorant weirdos. And it's like 49% of the country.
The reason that I actually was about to take a screenshot around this point, before I saw this exact results, is I was like, oh, what do you know? It's an ad, so it's a sponsored video, it's a fundraiser video, but then the video also had an advertisement in it. So this guy's just all about the money. It's all about the money. You fake pretend to be, I want to say it's a Helen Keller, the same tricks. People know that if you weigh...
He doesn't think Helen Keller is real. I've covered that before, but if that just blew past you, yeah, he thinks Helen Keller is fake. He thinks she could actually see and hear, and it was all a hoax to push socialism. Because I don't know if you know this, but later in her life, Helen Keller wrote advocating for socialism.
Overhype your abilities, or you can hoax people. You can hoax people with your superhuman abilities by just being a cheater and a liar and a deceiver, and you can make money off of that. That's just true. Especially if you have if you know people in the media. Oh man, there's just so many things. Do you guys see what's on the screen right here? Oh man, what is this? Oh, I left a comment. I like to let them know sometimes that apes are actors in fursuits. These were crazy comments. So this is getting into the video, and yeah, they like to say things to let people who are in the know that this is all a joke. This is not to be taken seriously. And what I think of in this situation with the whole, how a lot of times they're joking about it, they're way too casual about these things. the way that I think of this is, I know people in real life that are like obsessed with these things, obsessed with animals, obsessed with apes. If they ever were in this situation, they wouldn't be joking about it. They would be taking it so seriously. And
You think apes and chimps are interesting? But, like, you're telling me that if I go and meet one, I'm gonna take it very seriously. This is like a business meeting. I'm meeting a monkey. I better treat it very seriously. If you can't have fun meeting a bonobo, you even have a soul? I don't know, man. What are you even here for?
they very often seem very lighthearted about things that should be serious, or they're making jokes in situations.
Hans, yes, a lot of people make jokes about situations they're in because they have a pretty light, you know, vibe about them. That's life.
That should otherwise be, in what I would think, a more serious situation, more...
How is meeting monkeys a serious situation? It's literally a standard, like, joke situation off of the sitcom shelf. Meets monkey. Boom. Sitcom plot.
In this, like, academic, but they're joking about Area 51.
How are you joking? You got put on the job at a conveyor belt and the little chocolates keep coming faster and faster and you couldn't keep up with them and you're joking? You're joking that you're ruining all these products that comically come down this conveyor belt too fast for you to deal with? Wrong with you people.
One, talking about Jurassic Park, and so what... Well, the way that I take that, and this is where people just will always have excuses. Oh, they're just joking around. Well, so I already talked about... I think a lot of people would be taking this more seriously and not joking around, personally. However, if you take what they say at face value, what is Area 51? It's like a government cover-up place. What is Jurassic Park? It's a fake make-believe thing, right? So that's where my mind...
He's talking about the fact that there's a big fence. He's saying, I feel like I'm in Jurassic Park or Area 51 because Area 51 is a secure place, and in Jurassic Park there's a big gate, and they go, what do they keep it in there? King Kong? It's a joke about the fact that they got a big secure fence. That's it.
Goes. This looks like sigils, and they were talking about a program of
these are symbols that the bonobos use to tell the, I don't know what to call them, their carers what they want. So the symbols mean different things that the bonobos can recognize and, you know, use. I like that a lot of them are pretty, like, out there symbols, but then there's just the one that just says burrito. Man, if I was a fucking ape at a zoo, I'd be pointing at the burrito square all day, every day. They'd have to call a goddamn vet. They'd be like, is this okay? Is this bonobo allowed to just eat burritos all day? They better give me that goddamn burrito.
Teaching the...
Just call me Bono Burrito.
The chimps, the apes. What's up with all the orange? Like, why is so much orange up here? The 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Number 1's looking orangey to me. Number 3 has orange.
I'm assuming that they're falling in the range of, like, color spectrum for bonobos. I don't know if how they see colors is any different than us, but I would imagine the colors and symbols were designed specifically to be things that were easily visible and identifiable individually for the apes.
Orange in it, and number 4 is orange. Just, I mean, I'm sensitive to the color orange. We know. This is apparently how they were trying to teach the apes to communicate, though. It's very odd, though. One just says burrito.
Okay, Hans noticed too. Good.
Then the other ones look like sigils. Very odd to me. A lot of the sigils are orange themselves. This, I don't even know what to say. Clearly an illuminated individual who has access. This was much more, when I watched this video, I was like, this is much more about, like, ape being, much more about movements than it really is language. The language access...
Yes, Hans. They don't speak verbally, so much of their communication is done via action. So that's the point, is that he learned behavioral cues for bonobos that communicate things, and he's using that as a language. Like, sign language is a gestural language, but it is nonetheless a language. You can communicate in ways other than verbally. To be clear, it's not a language with a grammar similar to like what we are doing, but it is a primitive precursor to like human language acquisition.
Part about language, because why is this guy even here? Why does this guy have access to chimps? Well, it's about like speaking their language. In my opinion,
because I think he's raising money for this refuge.
The video, there wasn't really that much language stuff. Like I said, joking.
This is the language stuff, Hans. He's communicating with the bonobo, not in the same way we communicate, but it is a form of communication. They're interacting in a way that sends signals from one to another, from a sender to a receiver. That's communication.
There was a lot of weird things, seemed too lighthearted for the situation.
This is serious.
But it makes more sense when you know that these are the cool kids in class that are getting to be in on a secret, and that almost nobody else knows about. And that's why I think that they have so much fun with it. Because they're being cool kids. Put your back and let her spook you. And then they immediately did what they talked about. As if they could understand. Here you go.
Don't show it!
There was a whole weird thing about this, which is, yeah.
Bonobos, it's like a thing about bonobos is they are very sexual creatures that resolve conflict and bond through sexual activities, both male and female. They just fuck each other. It's just a thing they do. That's why it came up. Like, that is one of the key features of bonobos, is their social structures involve a lot of sexuality.
Again, laughing, duping delight, you might say. They were really surprised. I think you fooled them. Yeah, I think you did fool a lot of them. And you see duping delight on both of them right here. And that's one of those things where you come...
Anytime someone's happy, you just have to decide they're happy because they're lying to you, and boom, instant evidence everyone is lying to you.
To learn. You come to learn that they like to talk about fooling people when they are fooling people, and that gives them duper's delight. And of course, they like to say it in a way where most people don't pick up on it, or they think you're talking about something else, but they're actually talking about the grand deception, the whole big thing. I guarantee to you, she's not talking about him fooling the bonobos into believing that he's an actual bonobo. No, she is laughing right now, and he is laughing right now. Whichever you want to call it, he or she. That's duper's delight, in my opinion.
Is that transphobia, transvestigation on the bingo card?
Pyramid hands. This is an Illuminati, bozo.
Spurious symbology as evidence on the bingo card.
I just watched some other YouTube thing earlier today with a guy. Obviously,
it continues to be funny to me that he thinks the Illuminati are the secret shadow government of the whole world and exist primarily to put down the vast majority of people in some sort of, like, horrifying, banal hellscape. And he just calls them bozos or, like, jabronis. Like, that's such a funny... Like, imagine calling Adolf Hitler a bozo. Like, Hitler, that bozo. Like, I think you're understating. Like, the Illuminati isn't real, but if you thought they were, wouldn't you go stronger than bozo?
Obviously doing the pyramid sign and, like...
I think bozo undercuts the threat you're intending to imply.
Over his face. These people are... They speak with their hands. There's actually a Bible verse that talks about these people that they'll speak with their hands. That is an Illuminati pyramid, though. I think that's what that is. I don't know. What is it when they do the pyramid hand sign? Some of them do it way too much. Isn't there some rapper or something, they try to make it their own thing, but it's like, no, you all do that thing. You're not special. This is just BS. So they started talking about conservation. The reason I picked, what's interesting, I didn't even notice the hand sign when I picked this one. I took the screenshot because he said, I was ready to go. I felt like I was a bonobo. And I think that he was saying, just the way that I took it, is that he's ready to put on the fursuit and pretend to be one of those things. He wants to.
Or maybe he just is like, I felt like I understood how to mimic their behavior. Probably that one, because that's what he did.
To do it. That's the way I interpreted that. And then they blabbed about conservation. They got to bring it back together. A lot of camp in the middle. They got to bring it back together at the end when you're going to get your wallet out. So that's when they bring up the biggest BS stuff. She started talking about, they're critically endangered in the wild. These fursuits they have to be critically endangered in the wild because they don't exist in the wild. They have to be critically endangered. They literally don't exist in the wild, so they're going to be critically endangered in the wild. That's why they say they're critically endangered, but it also tugs on your heart.
No, they say that because they're critically endangered in the wild because of poaching and the encroachment of humans on their habitat through deforestation.
Strings, and it gets you pulling out that wallet. When they start talking about the illegal bush meat, when have you ever heard of somebody eating a bonobo or eating a...
I've heard of that, Hans. Just because you haven't heard of something doesn't mean other people haven't heard of something. Yes, poaching exists. Poaching apes exists. It's awful.
A chimpanzee. They just say that because they know it's going to make people, if you feel sorry for them, you already believe in it. I do not believe that anybody is eating chimpanzees or bonobos. I do not believe that. Gorillas, no. The gorilla hand ashtrays, no. Pet trade. When have you ever heard of somebody having a pet bonobo?
There's a whole exotic animal trade in the US that's really disgusting. Some of it was featured in that Netflix docu-series Tiger King. There's another documentary called Chimp Crazy, which is on HBO, about someone who specializes not in tigers, but in apes. So she took care of chimps and bonobos. So yes, that is a thing. It's a really, really disgusting practice. And it's really abusive towards the animals. So it's fucked up.
A lot of rich people out there.
I'd recommend that documentary too, by the way, if you haven't seen it.
There's a lot of people with millions of dollars out there. I don't know any of them that have a bonobo as a pet. Michael Jackson.
Yeah, it's an unethical thing to do.
Had the fursuit friend.
You literally just mentioned a famous person who had a chimp, Michael Jackson.
Yep, check the website. He had to pull it together at the end. Oh yeah, money. Oh yeah. This was the orange My Heritage where we found out about this character's genealogy. They sponsored the video. And this guy's shilling all sorts of stuff. This is what I guess I wanted to show with this is that you can tell that this is a team effort. This character, he's just the front of a team effort.
Yes, again, he has 6.5 million subscribers. He almost certainly has an editor and probably a social media manager and maybe a few other things that I don't know about.
Masterclass. It reminds me, I've been recently seeing some videos, that annoying YouTube piano guy ads and people exposing him for being a phony fraud.
At like 6.5 million, you might be big enough to have an agent. Genuinely. So.
And being a Scientologist and all that. This is the same thing. They have a whole team behind this guy making content for him, and he just memorizes a couple lines in a language and then pretends to be a star child. A genius. Hey, at least they put the genius in quotes. I'll give him that. And I think I'll just end on that note. God bless everyone.
Hans is an exhausting figure. All right. I think we're done for the day. We've been going about 3 hours once you add in the fact that I had to restart. So thanks everyone for hanging out for another tinfoil day. I appreciate it. Next time I'm going to try to find some new tinfoil people. I think we've been watching a lot of the same people recently. Though this guy was new. But yeah. Thanks for hanging out. I really appreciate it. Love you too, Mr. Blast. I hope you all have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful evening. I have, like I said, a wedding to go to tomorrow evening, so I'll be streaming earlier in the day than typical. So just keep an eye out for that notification. We'll hang out and do something fun together. Hydrate. Can do. Let's see who we're gonna raid. Birthday party. Sorry, did I say wedding? Jesus Christ. I think that's the second time I've done that today, too.
I think.
Yeah, we'll raid Cooker 28. Alright, have a great night, everyone! See you soon. It'll be a while before you can beat Milk Bar. Milk Bar was good! Maybe we should see what Alex Chu is up to. He might beat the Milk Bar. Alright. Have a great night, everyone! Ugh. I'm gonna head to the Milk Bar. Have a good night, everyone.